In this episode, we're talking about a game where monsters and humans are just buds. It's Kindfolx. This and more on Indie Game Arcade. Welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast that deep dives into the latest and greatest indie games. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And real quick, just because we do have a few listeners out there in Canada, can you do me a quick favor? Can you turn down that smoke a little bit? Just real quick, that wildfire smoke, just turn it down, please. Please, I'm gasping over here. Please.
Is it getting real smoky over there?
Oh yeah, it's like every few days, all of a sudden there's just like a big waft of smoke when you walk out the door, and it's just like, oh God, why? And then it'll be like, you check your weather app, in addition into like whether it's sunny or rainy, it's like, don't go outside, you can't breathe. I'm like, oh, cool.
There's a lot of don't go outside in Minnesota. Or if it's too cold, don't go outside. You'll die. Too smoky, don't go outside.
Don't go outside. Die. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Maybe people just shouldn't live that far north. I don't know.
You know, they keep telling us specifically where I live that we are climate change proof. And I'm like, but are we? Because everyone around us ain't, and it's starting to affect us. So, anyways, let's talk about some Kindfolx.
Game start!
Kindfolx was released on July 15th, 2025, developed and published by Tristan Barona, indie game solo dev, retails for $14.99. And for a quick description, Kindfolx is a fast-paced deck-building roguelike where real-time action meets tactical card combat, and you are playing as one of three monster folk heroes and battling through randomized encounters, evolving your deck and strategy to take down a ruthless monster tyrant. I haven't played this whatsoever. I really wanted to, but I never got the chance. So Joseph, tell me all about Kindfolx. How kind are they? It sounds really pleasant.
So on the surface, this has a really cozy sort of peaceful feel to it. The visuals are very Adventure Time like, just by at first glance, and like really fun graphics. It's really like kind of tongue-in-cheek humor too. Like it's very meta, at least. It's self-aware and it like has nods to various things. But then once you start playing it, it's like, oh man, this is like intense. I knew it was a tactical, like real-time, like roguelike game or deck builder, but to me, I just didn't understand like what that was going to mean in action until I started playing it. And then the first round of it that I did, so it doesn't really have like a good onboarding process, in my opinion, because it's very much just like you get there is like a tutorial section. And then when you go into your first battle, of your first run, it tells you like, hey, it's your first battle. Do you want to like go through this and how to play? And so, of course, I was like, yeah, I do need to know that. So I got like a general sense of what it was. And then I started trying to play it and I'm like, oh man, this is just going like way too fast for me, because normally, obviously, when I'm playing a deck builder game, I'm taking my time. It's very methodical. I can sit there and I can like think about it like, okay, this combos with this, but what is this going to mean at the end of that? But in this one, it's like, oh my God, okay, so this one is, I think this is this card, like, and you have to like pull it up to like even see what the card does if you haven't memorized what they do already, which I would recommend. And you will over time, like as you play more of it, you'll start to just know the card by their basic, like the face on the card. But like going in my first round was just like embarrassingly bad. It was just like clicking around, trying to figure out what meant what. There's a ton of keywords in there that it doesn't really, well, not, I say doesn't really, it doesn't at all explain to you. You have to like highlight over the keyword to see what it actually is. Like there's one that's like initiative that you can only play during the first round of combat. So anytime it comes up throughout the game, if you're trying to play it and it has initiative on it and it's not the first round, then it doesn't do anything. And it doesn't tell you it doesn't do anything. it doesn't say like, you can't click this because it's not going to do anything. It just lets you click it. And so you're kind of like wasting some time, just like letting that card process while nothing's happening. And then there are different cards where it's like, okay, this has the ability once the enemy that you have targeted is once their like action bar is like 75% or 80% or whatever, then you can use this ability and you'll get the maximum value out of it. Otherwise, it will sometimes do 0 damage or do nothing. And so it's like, okay, I need to wait for the enemy's action bar, which I have to be watching. And there's multiple enemies at the same time, like 3 to 4 sometimes or more. And so it's like watching all these action bars, figuring out who I need to be selecting all at once while it's all just real time happening. Before I can even really process what's going on, I'm like, okay, whose bar is like almost full? Okay, who would be best to target at this point? And then it's just like trying to jump around and figure all that out like on the fly. It's both like invigorating and also extremely stressful at the same time. So
yeah,
the more I'm playing of it, the more I'm getting used to it. And like, obviously, like the more you do something like that, the more you're going to like get into it and like start to understand the flow better. I think this more than any other game, any other like roguelike, like deck builder game I've played is one of the more challenging ones to just like immediately get into and like get the flow of it. Because I think it would have helped if they had slowly introduced me to different like keywords on cards and maybe had like a practice like run almost of just like, here's this card, here's what it does, here's when you should use this. But it doesn't really do that. It's just like drops you into an actual like real game. And it gives you that one tutorial thing. And it's like, all right, good luck. And then you just are getting like, you're just getting your ass kicked like constantly until you start to really like, you just got to get good because it will luckily like with those ones that are very like situational, like they need to be 87% or it has to be like, you have to use this card right before an enemy attacks you or else it doesn't do anything. Like it will highlight or it will put this like yellow border or gold border around a card when it has whatever its like ability is like active and can be used and triggered correctly. Like it will have a gold border around it, but you also are looking around at all your cards that are in your hand at the same time. And so sometimes you're not able to react fast enough to actually click it while it's still active because you might be clicking something else and then that takes time to process. And then it's like, oh man. So I will say that there is a ton going on here. And even though it might look super peaceful, like Kindfolx is not kind to you. It is very much like a sort of a masochistic game where it's like, if you enjoy like a good challenge or just to be tortured, then this is one where it's going to do that to you a lot at first. But I feel like once I actually am able to put more time into it and maybe get a lot better at being able to process things on the fly, that will help me to appreciate it more for what it is, because I think there is like a good core system here. And I like some of the combos that I'm seeing are possible. It's just hard for me to, at this point, process them all at the same time and get them to work in the way that I want them to. But even after just 3 or 4 runs, however many I've tried so far, it's like, okay, I'm getting a little bit better. I think I now understand at least a general flow of this. And something I just learned, like on the very last game that I had played, almost at the end of it, is that when you first get into a battle, it's like paused and it doesn't start doing anything until you take your first action. There's no way to like stop it after that. But I didn't know that I could wait and at least look through my initial hand. So like before all of that, I've just been like right when the game starts, just like starting to mash cards and do things. It's like, okay, I need to just take my time, select the right enemy, and then open the battle. So it's at least got that going for it. And now that I know that, like that should really help future runs of just letting me see like what I have available in my opening hand. And also just seeing like what all the enemies do. One of the, I guess, a pause feature that it has, if you want to even call it that, is like if you right click on an enemy, you can see what their attack is going to do to you. And that exactly like pauses. Yeah, that pauses to at least give you the chance to read what the attack is going to do. But when you pause it like that, you can't see any of your cards or anything. So it's literally just like pausing to see what the enemy is about to do so you can react to that. Because that would be like impossible to do with it going like real time. And so otherwise there's no pause. Like you cannot pause it while you are trying to like think about what you're doing. You just have to act.
Yeah. So having like a really high game sense is like crucial to this. Like knowing
100% necessary.
what the cards are going to do. Yeah, that's crazy. Almost like it reminds me a little bit of when we did shuffle tactics and how, like, when you were talking about how the onboarding was rough, like we had some trouble with that one too. Like the first time we went in, we just got slaughtered for the first few tries. And it was just like, you really had to get used to it before like you could kind of make any progress. But it's like once things started clicking, then you're like able to move forward a bit and stuff. But to me, this sounds like this would be a much, much higher skill floor than something like that, just because of the real-time mechanics of it. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, just a question I wanted to ask you. Do you think that a game like this would benefit from giving the option of doing real time and doing turn-based?
I was thinking about that, and I don't think so, because I think that goes against the intentional challenge of the game. And really, it's a completely different game because of it. So if I were able to make it turn-based, then it's like, why would I ever go back? You know, why would I try to overcome this hurdle of real-time card action? So I think that is the if not the draw to the game, then at least like what makes this game unique is its real-time aspect, and just how like you really have to act first and kind of like ask questions later. And the more you do that, though, the more you'll figure out a good flow. And I started finding that for myself also, which was, okay, let me make sure I click this and then make sure I've got enough resources to still do this. Because it still does do a resource thing where it's like, okay, like the first dude you are has like 3 soul points, which is what you use to like activate cards. The cards, like any other kind of deck builder game, have like a cost to them, and that's what the soul points do. So it's like, okay, this is this many soul points. If I use this, it's going to use all 3 of my soul points, so I won't be able to do anything else. So it's like, is this the most important card I want to use right now? And it's like, even talking about it, I've already taken more time than I should have taken by just clicking it. So it's like, in a way, it's just improving my processing speed, at least when it comes to this particular game, because I now am like learning to like adapt to that better and know what enemies, and maybe not exactly what they can do, what their attacks can do, but at least know who I should prioritize for whatever reason, because it's one that you just have to, it's almost puzzle-like in a way, but like very active puzzle-like, to where it's like, I'm doing a puzzle, but I have to do it in a certain amount of time, like super quick.
If the real time was taken away and it was, let's say, a turn-based, like, you know, on like any other roguelike deck builder, do you think it would still be a challenging game based on just how the enemies and the cards, the card types and everything are handled? Or do you think the majority of the challenge is within just the real-time mechanic?
I think it could still be a pretty challenging game, only because like you get a little overwhelmed with enemies. Sometimes there's just like the number of enemies, right? And RNG is still going to be a thing. What makes this actually kind of interesting and might make it, I don't know, work better this way, is because it is real time. You don't have to like, it's not like I take my turn, they take their turn. I take my turn, they take their turn. Like you can take multiple turns before they can get to theirs if you're able to act fast enough. So in that way, another reason why it wouldn't necessarily work as a turn-based, like a slower paced one, because part of the overcoming the challenge is like acting quickly, because you're able to take multiple actions before they can take a single one if you're really on it. And so like the way that resources come back is like you use your whatever you have in your deck. If you can't do anything else in your deck, it will, if you can't do anything at all else with your deck, it will just like auto discard them and redraw a new hand and give you your resource points back. If there's just cards you don't want to use in your hand or can't for some reason, then you can just click the deck and it will discard, and like click the draw deck and it'll discard your current one and redraw. And so it's like, that's a process that can go pretty quickly if you're efficient about it. Because I think base level, the enemies attack every 12 seconds or something like that. So you can see their little bar charging up as it's about to go. Yeah. So, and that's where those come in, where it's like, okay, you can counter this enemy if you do it when they're about to attack, or if they're at 75% like charge or more whatever.
That's
Like
interesting.
that's what makes it where like those cards obviously wouldn't work at all in like a turn-based thing because it's
Right.
it's counting on a reaction to their actions. So yeah, it's one that I haven't spent a ton. I've spent about 2 hours playing it, and that's given me a pretty good game sense, at least, of what I need to be doing. And I think like your first hour is going to be just like trying to figure out like what the hell's going on. But after that,
Yeah.
I think there is something here to really appreciate. I just need to like sit with it and just like kind of muster through, and hopefully it's either going to be, I either get super into it and I like keep going with it, or I bounce off it because I'm just not smart enough to keep up, or I can't process things quick enough to keep up with the pace of it. And either
Right.
way, like I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't like blame that on the game. It's just because like, you know, it might be too fast of a pace for me personally, but that doesn't mean that someone's not going to really enjoy that speed.
Yeah, I definitely see the appeal to that too. And talking through it, like at first I was under the impression that the enemies are attacking like just as rapidly as you, the player, but with them having to like charge up to do the attack, that makes a little bit more sense. So it's kind of giving you like a little bit of a window to, even though you're going at such a rapid pace, you still have like, you know, so many seconds to try to make as many decisions as you can, to make as many counters or attacks as you can. So as fast as it is, there's still a tiny room to make some strategic decisions and things like that to overcome that stuff. So that's pretty fascinating to me. I don't think I've ever encountered another game quite like that, at least not a deck builder like that. So I'm intrigued. Yeah, me personally, I think it would probably be too quick for me because I am not someone that processes things very quickly, which is why I tend to gravitate way more towards games that are like, you know, I'm always talking about like detective or mystery games or, you know, turn-based tactic kind of games and things like that, like stuff I can control at my own pace. Because I struggle more with ARPGs and real-time stuff, just because of that. So this would be one I would be interested in trying just to see. And now that like I've heard you talk about it a little bit, I feel like maybe I would go in with a little bit more of an idea of what to expect. So maybe it wouldn't be as bad, but I would go in expecting to get stomped for sure the first probably hour or so of gameplay, but I might have to give it a shot. I'm interested to know what the bosses are like. Were you, I assume, were you able to encounter some?
Yeah. So they are, at least the first boss that I fought was like just kind of a beefier regular enemy. I didn't really take the time to see exactly what she did, but the advantage of fighting the boss is that there was only one of them. And so it was easier for me to keep track of like when hits were going to come to me, even though they were like really hard hits and heavy hits. It's like I can track those better when there's only one bar I'm having to look at. And that also makes those that are like, do this when they're 75% or more or whatever, more, or I guess easier to implement because I'm not waiting on multiple targets or like I'm not looking around to see whose is, you know, filled more. It's just this one. So like I was able to beat the first boss a few times. The second one I ran into some issue with, but I think I just don't understand, at least at this point, the mechanics of that second boss yet, because I thought I was doing okay. And then he just laid something out on me that like did like almost all my health of damage and killed me. I'm like, oh, okay, I must have missed something. There must have been something charging in the background, or like maybe something I was doing that was charging that up for them that I just wasn't aware of. And that is just like, it's on me because I didn't like look at the mechanics of this boss. Because again, this was before I understood that you could wait before you start the battle. Like once you're in a battle, you can actually see what's going on. That would have given me a chance to kind of like review everything that's happening around and maybe see like what the boss actually is doing. I saw that they kept putting like, it was some kind of like priest or archbishop or something. It kept like putting these cards in my hand that if I used them, it would give them more attack power. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to use them, but it also doesn't say if they're discarded, does anything. So do they auto use? I just didn't understand fully like what was happening with that. So once I kind of wrap my head around it, then I think it'll be something I can overcome. But up to that point, it's like, okay, I can pretty consistently beat the first boss. The second level / boss is like a little bit like I may be able to reach the second one consistently. It's just like you're not gaining health back between battles. So it's like I have to watch my health pool. So if I let too many hits come in because I'm not paying attention or whatever, or I don't have the right cards drawn, then it's like, all right, well, I'm just slowly dying throughout this process. And or if I can't find like the right artifacts to have. So artifacts are the same as with any sort of deck builder where you get these extra things that like add some kind of bonuses to either the type of card you're using or how much money you have or something like that. So those are in this too. That's how the meta progression sort of works as well, is when you are like with your hero, you will level up after, or you'll gain experience based on like how far you've gotten in, how many treasures you found, et cetera, et cetera. And so with all that, as you level up, you'll get more cards for that hero. You will unlock different artifacts. And as far as the first two unlockable characters go, it's like I had to reach level 5 with the first character, then level 5 with the second character, and that unlocked all 3 of them. I think there's only 3, so that I might have all the characters unlocked now. But so that didn't take very long. Again, I've only played for 2 hours, but like it was, so the meta progression is not like put all your points into this to get more health or anything like that. It's just like you're just getting more cards you can use later and more artifacts you can get as well. So I guess like in that way, the meta progression works like most roguelikes would in this sense, most roguelike deck builders rather. So it's got some things that are familiar to the formula and some things that are much different, which is just like how active it all is. So this is going to be like one you will either really enjoy or one that you might bounce off of because of how different it is, or how different it plays at least.
And I think I'm gleaning to, but correct me if I'm wrong, that the bosses are like the same as you're going, like each time you face, you know, the end of like if they're chapters or something like that, it's always like when you get to the first boss, it's always that same boss. Like I'm assuming it's following like a story or something. So it's always the same first boss, second boss.
Yeah, as far as I know, the only difference is like as you're exploring the little dungeons, the way that it works is kind of like a maybe grid based in a sense, that where it's like a room to room sort of thing. Like you start in the center room and then it's sort of like random the way that the dungeon is laid out, but you'll see which directions you're able to go. You just click on like either up, down, left, or right, and you'll go that direction. And then you'll see what's in that room. And then the way that the events work is it's like, you've activated my trap card. And then it will like, an event will pop up. Like no matter what it is, it's always going to say that. An event pops up. You go through it, good or bad, and then you're done with that event. And then you'll see when you're next to the boss room, because your room will be glowing red and there will be a skull in the room where you're about to go to. So that way you won't accidentally run into the boss before you're ready for it, which I appreciated because I did that a couple times before I realized it's like, oh, I could tell that they're in this next room. I don't need to be going here yet.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's pretty like open, like you're not sure what is where. You can see where the merchant is on every level, and you can see where like certain other things are, but you usually just see like question marks or nothing. And if it's nothing, sometimes it'll literally be an empty room. Some rooms are locked and you can find key cards that will either unlock those rooms or unlock treasures you run across. And then you will also like just sometimes hit dead ends and just have to go back. Unfortunately, at least as far as I'm aware, you can't look at like the larger map to see like everywhere you've gone or where everything is. You can only see it in this little compass down in the bottom right hand of your screen. And that just shows you like which room you're in and sort of like what is unlocked or not unlocked around you. So you get the mini map, but I don't know if there's a way to zoom into a larger map, which would be super helpful because sometimes I'll forget where the boss was and I'll have to like re-explore a lot of this dungeon. Nothing respawns, so it's like there's not like a whole lot of point to even doing that. It's just like, okay, if I've explored the whole dungeon, at least like give me the ability to teleport to a different room or let me pop open a map that will let me teleport somewhere, because the time that you're taking between those rooms doesn't matter. It's not consequential to you, so there's no reason not to just let you teleport to a room you've been to already.
Yeah, exactly. One more question that I've got about this, and this is something that we used to ask on this podcast a lot. We haven't done it for a while, but like, who would you recommend this game to?
So like I had said before, to some degree, if you if you like deck builders, but maybe feel like either they're a little slow paced or you just want an additional challenge to it, then I think this is one that you might really get into. But if you like deck builders, like you were just saying, because they're slower paced and more methodical, then I don't think this is necessarily for you, and it'll be more stressful than it is fun.
Yeah, I don't want to get super stressed out. So I would try it, but like you were telling me before we started, this might be one I would bounce off of, but I want to give it a shot and see, because I really like how it looks. I like the idea of it. I just don't know that I'm quick-minded enough to be able to do it. But hey, maybe it'll make me quick-minded, you know?
Hey, maybe it'll be a good training method. I mean, that's how I'm using it.
Yeah.
The reviews are the 3 reviews it has are positive. So it's like, take that for what you will. I think this is one of those really under the radar games. So like, love it or hate it, it's at least worth some attention.
Yeah, let's get some more eyes on this game. Tell your friends about this. Go check it out. Leave it a review. Especially because this is a solo dev that created this thing. So let's get this fellow, this kind folk, this kind dev some flowers for his work.
Power up!
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor and throw us a like, a follow, share the episode or the podcast with folks who love indie games so we can get more of these game recommendations out there and support the indie game devs working on them. We also have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/nerdsloth where you can catch us playing more indie games or check out our top 5 and top 10 series for even more indie game recommendations, because we believe there's an indie game out there for everyone.
Combo!
Let's talk about some other indie games we've been playing this week. I've got one specifically that I really, really want to talk about. Well, I've played a few, so I'll probably talk about 2 of them at least. But the big one I want to talk about is The Drifter. This released on the 17th of I put June. It released in July 17th. This is a dark and gritty point and click adventure that feels like a bit of a John Carpenter film, but like kind of in the vein of something like They Live, mixed with some like 1970s Australian grindhouse kind of feel. You're playing as this guy named Mick Carter, who is doing a bit of train hopping so he can get to his family member's funeral when he witnesses someone get killed in a very brutal fashion. And soon after, he sees some very super like decked out in like this high-tech black ops looking kind of stuff. They attack him, chain him up, throw him in a reservoir full of other bodies where he drowns, just to wake up again right as he's dumped into the water with a chance to change his fate and escape death, and then kind of figure out what the hell is going on, who these people are, what's going on with like the homeless in the area that keep disappearing, which, you know, are probably all those bodies in that reservoir with them. It's fully voice acted. The pixel art is absolutely amazing. I talked about that quite a bit last week with that this is what pulled me into it with how beautiful it looks. This was created by Powerhoof, which are the devs that created the game Crawl. My only caveats so far is that the main character, at least so far, is not a super likable guy to me. Like, he's just so crabby. But then again, the situation he keeps getting himself into, I'd be pretty crabby too if I just saw someone get like turned into Swiss cheese on the train that I was, riding on. But, it is what it is. And it's one of those things too where I struggle with this specifically in point and click games of the current era, where a lot of them feel way too handholdy for me. But that's because I grew up, in the era of like the LucasArts games where not everything was pointed out. There weren't markers indicating the things that you needed to pick up. You had to really nose around, click on things, experiment a ton to figure out the kind of things that you needed to use on objects, to use with different people, to talk to people. So I think with that in my head as the expectation, I think sometimes for me as to what a point and click game should be like, when you get something like this, or there's been other games that I've talked about, like Locomotive and others, where the thing that you need to click on is just way more obvious. Then I get a little bummed out because I'm like, oh man, like you're taking way more challenge out of it than you really need to. But it is all for the purpose of they're presenting you this really, really cool story, especially in this case. Like I said, this feels very John Carpenter, kind of Michael Crichton-y, and maybe a slight Lynchian in a way, but with this very violent, like hyper-violence kind of backdrop to it as well. That, you know, it's trying to move you along so you can bear witness to this amazing story that they've crafted. So I can kind of forgive it for those kind of things. But it's really interesting, very intriguing. If you are really into those sci-fi horror kind of like films and stuff from like the 70s and 80s, this is a game that you would really like.
I mean, point and click, so I don't know that I'm going to play it, but I'm glad that you're liking it. Kind of.
I'm glad that you're glad that I'm glad, you know?
Yes. Except like, I mean, really the core of it is exactly what you're saying about the hand-holdiness of it all, which is like, I'm already sitting here and like pointing and clicking at things. Like, don't make it even easier on me. That just takes all the appeal out of it that it would have even had. Like, if I'm just like clicking through to watch a story, then cool. Like, let me just watch a story. Don't make me like play it as under the guise of it being a game if you're not even going to gamify it in a way that I can enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, you get to do things like choose how you respond to people and stuff. And, there are cases of like, use knife with this, but it's like to get, I don't know, if you need to pick up a certain item, a lot of times there's like a little marker over it. And it's like, yeah, okay. Like I could just let me look around for the thing, don't point it out. I just want to like, I want to have to explore and experiment and like, let me get a little bit frustrated trying to figure it out, like I don't want to be like coddled with these kinds of games. It's part of the experience. Like LucasArts games, I remember as a kid getting frustrated several times because I didn't know what I was supposed to like figure out and stuff. But that's part of the fun of when you do get it, you're like, oh my God, finally I did it. And you feel like a genius once you figure it out. So I'm like, yeah, let me have those experiences.
And that was also one of the things that I didn't like about the newest, at least I think it's still the newest God of War Ragnarok, which was Atreus constantly was like, hey, look at that over there. You could probably put a hook up there or something. Hey, look at that. Yeah. Look at that thing. And it's like, dude, let me figure it out. Like, I know I've got this and I know what to do with it. Like, let me look around. Because you could look around for maybe like 5 seconds and he's like trying to give you a hint. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's just like, hey, listening you all the way across this game. And it's like, dude, just let me figure it out. Like, I'm not that dumb. I'm a little dumb, but not dumb enough to not figure this out eventually.
Yeah, 100%. So I feel like sometimes there are developers and stuff that are just too afraid that the players are going to get too frustrated with stuff like that. But I'm like, I want to get frustrated with that stuff because I want to be able to Dark Souls games. Frustration.
Yeah, so, make it challenging for me. Make me get better because if I want to earn the end of this game, I need to earn it. I need to feel like I've earned it. Don't
make
hand
a
it to me,
Souls-like
please.
Point and click for Joseph.
I don't know how they would even do that, but
hey, man, that's my new goal in life, to make a Souls-like point and click somehow. I'll find a way. It'll be the most difficult point and click ever created.
You'll give up before it's done.
Yeah. I also played a little bit I played through the demo of the Necromancer's Tale, which was that one that you were talking about last week. That released also on the 17th by Psychic Software. It's a gothic CRPG where you uncover a spell book of necromancy in the wake of your father's death. I'm so intrigued by it, but I didn't get like any combat in the demo whatsoever. So like it's mostly and I did some reading up on it like after, And like I did learn that though there is combat in the game, the combat is very second to the social aspect of everything. Like there's way more dialogue interactions and like talking your way through scenarios and stuff like that, and like kind of like clue discovery and things than there is combat. So it's way more on the narrative side than anything else.
Which I guess makes sense for what the story
for what it is.
Yeah.
I do want to say though, like the character creation is very, very interesting in that like, so you're not like physically making a character, but like creating the stats in the background is very interesting because what you're doing is it's presenting you kind of like with a story of like a little bit of like a history of what's kind of going on in this world and this person that was involved. And then this person has and then you're choosing a son or a daughter. And then let's say you pick son. And then it's like you are being told that son's childhood into like early adulthood. And you're getting all of these little story beats of their life growing up. And you are choosing different reactions based on those story beats. Like, let's say like you have a bully or something and that bully confronts you in a certain moment. And you've got like 4 or 5 options you can select as to how this son reacts to that situation. And depending on how you react, like you've got like this thing of like, I don't know, like 10 stats or something. Actually, I think it might be, it's either 9 or 12. I don't know. But anyway, depending on how you react, it'll start filling in different stat points for you instead of you going in and like choosing an array yourself. So it's based on like the choices you're making within the narrative and the story. And I thought that was really interesting. And also like if you start leaning way more into, let's say, things that are a lot more like intellectual, then it's kind of like you've gone down this path and are more apt to like your story might change and you may be more likely to become like an academic versus, let's say, military or something is another option if you were doing like more strength-based things. So that shapes a lot of like your character's personality once the actual gameplay starts. And then also it shapes like your entire backstory and how people talk to you and react to you and how you're able to resolve situations. Like you might have more diplomacy because you did because of certain things from your backstory. So I like that aspect of it a lot. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I wonder if there is like a way to almost avoid combat altogether, you know, if you chose a diplomatic enough background.
I honestly would assume so based on how this game goes. So, yeah, it's intriguing though. The world building in it is humongous. Like I got in and I felt like this was definitely like a living, breathing world. Like lots of stuff was happening and I was just this tiny part of it. Like it didn't feel like one of those cases where I'm going in as like some chosen thing, like I'm the Witcher and everything revolves around me or something. This really felt like I was kind of intruding upon this thing that has been going on or something. And I really like that. So, yeah, the lore runs really deep in this and it was really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I forgot that I had even mentioned that game until you said it just now. And I'm like, oh yeah, how was that? But that's kind of what I expected from it. So I'm glad that at least the development of the character and it seems like the story itself is probably the strong point and really a selling point of it. Combat might just be there for folks like me who just like to get in a little scuffle now and then.
Yeah. And there's definitely like, I would say it's you have to do a lot of exploring, discovering, talking to things. Like you get objectives and stuff like that too, but it is actually like quite a bit less handholdy than, let's say, when I was just talking about the Drifter, way less handholdy than that. Like there was definitely times that I'm like, I know I need to find this thing. I'm really not sure where to look for it. And I enjoyed that aspect of it, even though there's a few times I'm like, man, I've been wandering around for a while trying to figure out what I need to do. But like eventually when I do figure it out, I'm like, oh yeah, I should have looked here earlier. Okay, now I understand. Now I can move on. And now I've got this key. I can go here. So yeah, it's definitely it knows what it's doing. I like it.
Nice. As far as what I've played, so I played a lot of demo things because they were things that I was kind of on the fence about as far as like, do I want to buy this? Do I not? Does it have a demo still? Can I try it out? I mean, first and foremost, I played more Peak, of course, and I played a little bit more Shuffle Tactics today because I've had it for a few weeks and I just haven't jumped back into it because it's mouse and keyboard like only basically. And with the way my setup is, I'm just playing on my couch, so it's harder for me to want to like pull my mouse and keyboard out and like do that on my coffee table as much. But I tried it today and like I think it's good. I need to like really like get into it, but like there are more things to it than what we just got in the demo that we played. So I'm excited to explore more of those options because I do really like the combat of it. I wish it were more controller friendly, but that's a very small nitpick for what seems to be a pretty cool game. I also played Arashi Gaiden, which is that like grid based like ninja style puzzle combat game. And when I say puzzle, I mean it in the way that it's like very much you have to do these certain things in a certain way. It's not grid based where you're like you can move from tile to tile and just like, I don't know, tactically try to like make each thing happen exactly the way you want it to. Yeah. As you like move across the screen, you are literally going across the entire screen until you hit some kind of obstacle, whether that's a box or just the other wall or whatever. So you have to find a way to make sure you try to run into each of the enemies that way to take them out in a certain amount of time. After you take out an enemy, there's like a small bar that like starts slowly going down where it's like your combo meter. So it's like the more you can do it quickly, the better off you are points wise. There are sometimes triggers in the level itself that you need to activate as well. Like 4 little switches. It's like, okay, I need to hit all of these in so many turns or else they will reset and I'll have to try again. So I need to find like the best path for me to bounce from this to this to this. So it's very much more puzzle first, like tactics, like second, I guess, or grid based, like tactical combat second. Yeah. It's more about the puzzle solving aspect of it, which is cool, but it's like, that's not what I went in like wanting out of it, I guess. So it's like, I know like for what it is though, it seems like a really cool game. And I may like spend a little bit more time with the demo, although I did finish the demo. I may like jump into it again and just see like, okay, how do I really feel about this before I just decide to either not get it or to get it. But I would say just know that it's going to be like more puzzle heavy than you might initially assume. And once you have that in mind, if that's something you like, then you'll probably really like this one.
It sounds like one I would like. I'm looking at it now. This is the one I said looked visually looked more like a beat 'em up kind of game, and I'm talking specifically about the sprite design and the background designs and stuff. It looks like it would be a beat 'em up.
Yeah,
but yeah,
so it's like
that
beat 'em up
cool.
visuals, tactical kind of like visuals as well, but then it's like puzzle as far as like you have to dash from side to side to side and through enemies to do damage to them.
I love
and
that.
If you stop at a spot where an enemy will be able to reach you on that turn, or in the spot where it's like next to an enemy but you're not hitting them, then they will hit you. And so it's like, all right, I have to, and you only have so much health and whatnot. So there's a lot going on, but it seems really cool. What I played of it, I enjoyed. I wasn't very good at it at first, but as I went through it, I got a little bit better each time once I understood the gameplay loop. So yeah, I think there's some people who really don't like this game.
It's a very cool concept.
I also played a demo of Void War, which I just learned about, but this one is it's very Warhammer 40K mixed with FTL in a way. Ooh. At least on the surface of it. I don't know exactly like what your tie is to this world. It seems like you can join different factions. So I don't want to say like you're this Imperial like Space Marine kind of dude. I don't think that's what you are, but you're just someone who's going through space, flying an ancient starship, fighting against the, I guess like going to the heart of this dying empire and just like trying to face things as you go through, like space pirates, soldiers, blood cults, things. I tried to join a blood cult, but I failed, and then they fought me. It's FTL in the way that the combat works, where it's like ship to ship combat, but their ship is on one side facing a certain way and yours is on the other side facing a certain way. And you've got different rooms you can send your crew members to, or that you can go to, or you can go and board their ship if you have like a strong enough ground unit. So it's different than FTL in that way because there's more like unit based combat. But as far as like the visuals go, like that's what you will think when you first see it, is that a FTL kind of turn based thing. And I played the demo of it, like I said, and I really liked what I experienced from it. I'm not sure if it's one that I will have the patience to like purchase and really get into. But if you're looking for something that is like a FTL like roguelite and you just haven't found anything that really scratches that itch for you, I think this one really could.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. It kind of seems like a sort of like a little chibi pixel Warhammer 40K in the design and stuff. That's kind of cool.
And Warhammer 40K in the sense that there's also like, oh, I summoned a demon dog and now this demon dog space is protecting my ship in space. Yeah, so it's like very Warhammer coded. I don't think they're trying to hide that at all.
No.
But it's got a cool style to it, and the mechanics seem to work pretty well together. So yeah, that's one I just tried out of pure curiosity. It came out on June 2nd, so it's been out for a couple months now, or at least a month now. And I think just give the demo a shot. The demo is still available. It's only $20 to buy it. So if you really like it, like it's not too bad of an asking price either.
Final round!
Let's talk about some upcoming indie games we're excited about. One for sure that I really want to get into and might bring next week is Fretless, The Wrath of Rifson, which already released. It just came out, I think it was on the 17th. And I had this on my radar, and then I guess it fell off for some reason because I didn't realize it came out until you messaged me like the day of, and you're like, hey, you seen this? It looks like it'd be up your alley. And I was like, yeah, I've seen that. I've been waiting on it. And then I was like, oh, it's out today. Cool. So it's a pixel art turn-based RPG, very much based in rock music and stuff. So very much up my alley. I definitely want to play it. I've heard great things about it. For months and months and months from like the last two Steam Next Fests as well as PAX. So really, really excited to get into Fretless. And then I just want to mention, I really want to get into my backlog some more, which is everybody, wants to do that. But there's so many like good indie games from the past that I have not gotten to give much of a chance to just yet. Like I can specifically think of like Neva. I played just a few minutes of Animal Well one day, but I want to like get all the way through that. There's so many, and I'm gonna try to figure out at some point. I want to carve out time, like once a week, once every other week, to like spend some time just picking a game from the backlog and just going for it and seeing what I can do. So that'll be a little bit of a challenge, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah. I might start doing that instead of playing new game. I'll play one new game and then one old game just to help balance it. Because right now, I'm just trying to throw too much at myself at once, and it's just hard to keep track of.
It is. It is very hard.
Too many good games coming out.
I know. Everyone stop making good games. Make shitty games.
Just for a year, stop making games, period, and then let us catch up, please.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
Yeah, easy.
So the one I wanted to call out is one that was released actually in 1.0 on July 17th.
Everything was released on the frickin' 17th. I don't know.
What? Seriously? Yeah. Like, I don't know what it was about that date specifically, but that's how I kind of ran across this one. I think it's part of like that Tacticon sale that's going on Steam right now as well, which is like a July 17th through 21 is this digital convention celebrating strategy games kind of special that's going on. And so this one was on sale. I haven't purchased it yet or anything, but I am really curious about it. I wish I had a demo so I could try it. But what it is a like sort of drilling, planet mining, sort of roguelite, tower defense. I'm trying to think of all the keywords. There's a lot of keywords to it, but it looks super cool. And I watched like a couple of gameplay videos of it, and you're essentially just literally like on a platform and just sending your little worker dudes down to dig into the planet's core to get resources and or fight enemies. And you're having to set up a defense of your own like little drill thing so that you're not being attacked from above or below by enemies. There's a lot going on there, but it looks really interesting in the way that the setup works. And I like the visuals a lot. The pixel graphics of it are really good. I don't know much what I can really say about it since I haven't played it, but that's one I want to try out. But I'll have to pick it up to do so unless it's on Game Pass, but I doubt it. But so this one looks super cool. Essentially, aliens versus what is that one drill game called with the dwarves? Deep Rock Galactic. That's the game I was thinking of.
Yes, that's it.
So it's got that sort of. That's why I just looked up dwarf mining game, and that's one of the first things that popped up. Like,
that's exactly what I was trying to type in a chat. Dwarf mining game.
So Deep Rock Galactic, which also has like I said, a roguelike that's in early access now, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, or I guess like a Survivor type game. That also is really fun. I played the early access of that. This isn't related to that, but it's got the same sense of you are little dudes digging into the ground and fighting off bugs that are, I guess you're invading their planet. So they have every right to try to fight you off, but you are setting up weapons and stuff to defend against them.
I like the visuals of it. Like I'm looking at that right now, and I'm pretty into that. That looks good.
I don't know how long it was in early access. It seems like it was for a bit, but it just released the 1.0, and it's very like proudly exclaiming that on its like cover image. That's how I know it was probably an early access thing before that. Looks like it's worth a shot.
Game over.
Hey, if you had a good time listening to this episode, stick around for the bumper to learn how you can help support the show and all the things we do here at Sloth Creative. You can also check the show notes for our link tree, which will take you to our social media, Discord, subreddit, merch store, and tons of other cool stuff. But get in touch with us and let us know what indie games you're playing and help us elevate these games so we can help support indie game developers. But that's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth for indie game let's plays and recommendations. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/nerdsloth, where you can select a pledge and receive access to hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything at Sloth Creative. If you're an indie game developer and would like us to review your game or explore other opportunities, send an email to nerdslothcreative@gmail.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade. Thanks for listening, and keep supporting indie game devs.